The 20,172,018 College Football Bowl season features a plethora of games that will attract bets from average Joes to professional bettors. Alabama is favored by 2.5 points against Clemson in the Sugar Bowl, LSU is favored by a field goal against Notre Dame in the Citrus Bowl, and Georgia is a 2-point favorite against Oklahoma in a Rose Bowl game that has already seen plenty of line movement. With so many intriguing matchups and so many college football odds on the move, y'all want to know what Sportsline's advanced computer model is picking. Sportsline's projection model turned in double-digit profitable weeks last season across all college football picks and had an astonishing 81 record on championship weekend. Anybody who followed its picks reaped a huge payday. This same model has crushed moneyline picks the past 2 bowl seasons, including a 101 record on rated picks during that span. Now, it has simulated every bowl game 10,000 times, including Round 3 of Alabama vs. Clemson, and reveals the point spread winner for each game. We can tell you the model loves Ohio State to roll to a victory and cover against the red-hot USC Trojans in the Cotton Bowl. The Buckeyes were crowned champions of the Big Ten and will love to erase the memory of last season's embarrassing loss to Clemson in the college football playoff. Sportsline says the Buckeyes easily cover as 7-point favorites against the Trojans and win 3,522. Another team the model loves, Stanford. Despite losing to USC in the Pac-12 championship game, Stanford will take care of business against TCU in the Alamo Bowl. Stanford is a 2.5-point underdog, but Sportsline's proven projection model says it will shock the college football world and win outright. Stanford is 62 against the spread in its past 8 bowl games, and 81 against the spread in its past 9 games in December. Meanwhile, the Horned Frogs are just 26 against the spread in their past 8 bowl games. One surprise: Michigan beat South Carolina in the Outback Bowl, but it won't be by nearly as much as Vegas thinks. Fresh off a 24-point loss to Clemson in their final regular season outing, the Gamecocks will bounce back and keep this game respectable at Raymond James Stadium. South Carolina ultimately falls 2,118, but stays well within the 7.5-point spread. The Gamecocks are covering in 62% of simulations, so back South Carolina against the spread with confidence in this one. It's also calling for a Vegas favorite to get absolutely shocked against an unsuspecting underdog that is ready to play spoiler. This underdog is almost a lock to cover the spread and is actually projected to win outright. Find out who it is at Sportsline. So who should you back in every bowl game? Check out the odds below and visit Sportsline now to get every against the spread pick from the model that crushed championship weekend with an 81 record and had double-digit profitable weeks last season. Plus find out which side of Clemson Alabama is a virtual lock. Akron vs. Florida Atlantic 22.5, 64.5 Louisiana Tech vs. SMU 5, 70 Temple vs. Florida International 7, 56 UAB vs. Ohio 7.5, 55.5 Central Michigan vs. Wyoming PK, 44.5 Texas Tech vs. South Florida 2.5, 68 Appalachian State vs. Toledo 7.5, 62 Houston vs. Fresno State 2.5, 49.5 Utah vs. West Virginia 7, 57 Duke vs. Northern Illinois 5, 47.5 Kansas State vs. UCLA 2.5, 64 Southern Miss vs. Florida State 16.5, 49 Iowa vs. Boston College 2.5, 46 Arizona vs. Purdue 4, 65 Texas vs. Missouri 2.5, 60.5 Virginia vs. Navy 1, 55 Virginia Tech vs. Oklahoma State 4, 63 Stanford vs. TCU 2.5, 49 Washington State vs. Michigan State 2.5, 45.5 Wake Forest vs. Texas A&M PM 3, 64.5 NC State vs. Arizona State 6.5, 59.5 Kentucky vs. Northwestern 7, 51 Utah State vs. New Mexico State 4, 61.5 Southern California vs. Ohio State 7.5, 64.5 Louisville vs. Mississippi State 7, 63 Iowa State vs. Memphis 3.5, 66 Washington vs. Penn State 2, 55 Wisconsin vs. Miami, Florida 6.5, 45 Michigan vs. South Carolina 7.5, 43 Central Florida vs.
Auburn 9.5, 67 Notre Dame vs. LSU 3, 51.5 Georgia vs. Oklahoma 2, 60 Alabama vs. Clemson 3, 40